Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. How are you? I hope that you all are fit and fine at your home and you all are taking all the necessary precautions against this deadly virus. Okay, so today we will study General Science of Class 5. In General Science, we have started a new lesson. The name of our lesson is Shadows and Eclipses. In our previous class, we have discussed the topics. The topics were luminous and non-luminous objects, including reflection of light, how light travels, and light travels in a straight line. Moreover, we have done one activity as well, which was given to you people in homework. I hope that you all have done your homework. Okay, now moving towards our today's lecture. Our today's lecture is shadow. So take out your general science textbooks and open up page number 84. We will start a new topic. The topic is shadow. Okay, by now you know that light travels in a straight line. We have discussed this thing in our previous lecture, that light travels in a straight line. Now you also know that light cannot pass through opaque objects. And the second thing that we have studied in our lecture is that light cannot pass through the opaque objects. So when light is stopped by an opaque object, a dark area called shadow is formed on a surface behind the object. What is a shadow? Basically, a shadow is formed when an opaque object blocks the light. So the dark area is formed. That dark area is known as our shadow. We know that light travels in a straight line, and we also know that light cannot pass through the opaque objects. So when the light is stopped or blocked by any opaque object, so a dark area will be formed behind that object. That dark area or that dark part will be known as shadow. What are the characteristics of shadow? Three things are needed for the formation of a shadow. The first thing is the light source. Secondly, an opaque object. Third thing is an opaque screen or surface where the shadow is to be formed. For example, if I want to create a shadow, so what are the things that I will require? The first thing is that I will need a light. Secondly, I need an opaque object. Third thing is that I need a screen or a surface on which the shadow can be formed. You can look at the picture. The torch, what is a torch? The torch is the light source. The boy is the opaque object over here. And on the screen you can see the dark part or the dark area behind the boy. This is known as shadow. Position of a shadow. Observe the formation of a shadow in the diagram. First of all, look at the picture very carefully. A shadow is always formed opposite to the source of light. Remember this thing, the shadow is always formed opposite to the source of light. And what about the shape of the shadow? The shape of the shadow depends upon the angle. The shape of the shadow depends upon the angle in which light falls on it, or the shape of the part of the object that blocks the path of light. So can the shape of shadow change? Yes, the shape of shadow can change according to the angle. The shape depends on the angle of light. According to the angle of light, the shape of the object, the shape of the shadow will definitely change. As you can see in this picture, the torch is placed at 3 different angles. So the shape is also different, although the object is same. Now what about the size of shadow? The size of shadow is long when the light source is placed along the length of an object, and it is short when the light source is placed along the width of an object. You must have seen that the length of your shadow on the ground keeps changing at different times of the day. In the morning and evening, the sun is positioned quite low in the sky, and your shadow is long. When the sun is placed overhead in the afternoon, your shadow becomes small. Now what about the size of shadow? They are explaining that the size of shadow is long when the light source is placed along the length of any object, but the size of the shadow will be small if it is at your head. The size of a shadow decreases when the object is moved towards the screen. Look at the picture. In the first picture, the sun is the light source is placed along the width of an object, so the shadow is long. But in the second picture, the light source, which is sun, the sun is placed above the boy. So look at the shadow on the ground. The shadow is short. The length of your shadow keeps on changing during the day because of the angle of the light source. Yes. The size of the shadow decreases when the object is moved towards the screen. The size of shadow increases when the object is moved towards the light source. What are they explaining? That the size of the shadow will decrease when the object is moved towards the screen. But when the object is moved towards the light source, the size of shadow will increase. They are explaining the shadow of the size decreases or increases if the distance is changed of the light source or of the object. The size of shadow depends upon the distance of the object from the light source. किसी भी शैडो का साइज जो है वो चेंज होगा आपके ऑब्जेक्ट और जो आपकी सोर्स ऑफ लाइट है उसके डिस्टेंस के मुताबिक. अगर आप ऑब्जेक्ट को लाइट सोर्स के करीब करेंगे तो आपका शैडो जो है वो इंक्रीज होगा, और अगर आप अपने ऑब्जेक्ट को लाइट सोर्स से दूर करेंगे तो आपका शैडो जो है वो उसका साइज क्या हो जाएगा, इंक्रीज कर जाएगा. A shadow usually has two parts. An area of complete darkness at the center is known as the umbra, and an area of the partial darkness at the edges is known as penumbra. The umbra receives no light from the source, while the penumbra receives only some light from the source. A large source of light forms a shadow with an umbra and penumbra. A small source of light forms only on umbra. Look at the picture. They are showing you umbra and penumbra. These are the parts of a shadow. These are the parts of a shadow. A shadow has usually two parts, umbra and penumbra. The first part, the darker part, the center part is known as umbra, and the second part around its edges that receives no light source from the source, while the penumbra receives only some light from the light source. So this is known as penumbra. Now note down your homework. Read page number 84 and page number 85. Thank you.